Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm here to help you relax tonight. Though before you get too cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Let's enjoy the story. My name's Emma, and this happened 3 years ago when I was in college. At the time, I worked nights at a grocery store about 30 minutes from my dorm. The drive home was usually the best part of my day. Empty back roads, music up, nobody around. It was my quiet time. The night this happened, my manager kept me late. By the time I finally got to my car, it was a little after 1 a.m. The parking lot was almost empty. Just a few cars under those tall yellow lights that make everything look like an old photo. I remember standing by my car, holding my keys, and getting this tiny feeling that I wasn't alone. Not someone's about to attack me scared, more like someone just walked out of the frame and I missed it. I shrugged it off, unlocked the car, and did the usual quick glance in the back seat. Totally empty. No bags, no jackets, nothing. I'd cleaned the car that morning, so it was spotless. It almost looked too empty, if that makes sense. I drove out of the lot, turned onto the main road, and started heading home. It was a straight shot, down a long 2-lane road, trees on both sides, then a turn onto the highway. About 10 minutes in, I noticed the road felt darker than usual. I knew the streetlights on that road. I passed the same ones every night. But that night, it was like every other light was dead. Big stretches of black where there should have been that orange glow. I turned the radio down a bit. Not off, just lower. You know when you're trying to listen for something, but you don't know what? That's what it felt like. I was going around a bend when my headlights caught something on the side of the road. A kid. He was standing on the shoulder, facing the trees like he was looking into the woods. Short hair, a thin little jacket, jeans. No backpack, no bike, just standing there. Okay, that's weird, I said out loud. As I got closer, he turned his head slightly, just enough that I could see his profile, and then my headlights passed him. I checked my rearview mirror right away. He wasn't there. No kid, no movement. Just road and trees. I told myself maybe I saw a mailbox or a sign, or my brain was just tired and turning shadows into people. I turned the radio up again and tried to shake it off. A couple of minutes later, my phone buzzed in the cup holder. I glanced down. It was a text from an unknown number. It just said, "Don't look back." For a second, my brain didn't even process the words. I just stared at the screen at 65 miles an hour. Then another text came in. Seriously, don't. My first thought was that one of my friends was messing with me. My best friend Chloe loved horror movies and knew I drove home late. It seemed like exactly the kind of thing she'd do. I laughed nervously and said, "Nice try, Chloe," and finally looked in the rearview mirror. The laugh died so fast it was like someone hit mute in my chest. There was a kid sitting in the middle of my back seat. Just sitting there. I couldn't see his face clearly because the car was dark, but I saw enough. Short hair, thin jacket, hands on his knees. Head slightly bowed, like he was staring at the floor. I jerked the wheel just a little, not enough to crash, but enough to make the car drift toward the shoulder. Jesus! I grabbed the wheel with both hands again and forced my eyes back to the road. I didn't turn around. I didn't say anything. Every hair on my arms was standing up. My eyes burned from trying not to blink. My brain was doing that thing where it runs through explanations so fast they all blur. He wasn't there when I got in. The doors never opened. I would have heard them. I cleaned the car. I checked the back seat. I know I checked. Another text buzzed in. "Please don't scream. He doesn't like that." I didn't have air in my lungs to scream anyway. My throat felt like it had closed up. I swallowed and forced myself to glance at the mirror again. The kid hadn't moved. Same posture, same angle of the head. But now, I could see his eyes. He wasn't looking at the floor. He was looking up at the mirror. Not at me, at the mirror. Like he knew that's where I'd see him. For half a second, I thought maybe he needed help. Maybe this was some insane, messed up way my brain was reacting to stress. Maybe I'd picked someone up and forgotten. It sounds impossible, but the mind does weird things when you're exhausted. I reached my right hand down for my phone, not taking my eyes off the road. Nothing was in the cup holder. I flicked my eyes down for a split second. My phone wasn't there. Another buzz, this time from directly behind my right ear, like the sound was right next to my head. I realized, slowly, that the sound wasn't coming from the front of the car, not from the dash, not from the side door. It was coming from the back seat, from him. My phone was behind me. He had my phone. Something in me broke right there. I didn't think fight or flight. I didn't plan. I just acted. I slammed on the brakes. The car screeched and fishtailed. My seatbelt dug into my shoulder. I felt something lightly bump against the back of my seat, like a hand that wasn't braced at all. The car shuddered to a stop on the side of the road. Headlights behind me exploded through my rear window. A truck. If I hadn't braked when I did, that truck would have hit me at full speed. It flew past me, horn blaring, rattling my whole car with the force of it. I watched it swerve back into its lane in my side mirror and disappear around the bend. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely shift into park. I sat there, breathing fast, listening. Silence. I turned, slowly, toward the back seat. Nothing. No kid, no phone. The seat was perfectly empty. The middle seat belt, the one I always leave kind of twisted, was straight and laid flat, like nobody had touched it. I whipped back around, looked under my legs, the passenger seat, the center console. My phone was in the cup holder, right where I thought it was the first time. Screen up. No new notifications. No unknown numbers. No messages at all since I'd left work. That's when the fear changed for me. It went from someone's in my car to something is wrong with reality. I sat there for a few more minutes with my hazards on, trying not to cry, trying not to lose it completely. I told myself I'd hallucinated the texts. Maybe I imagined the sound from behind me. Maybe the kid had been a weird shadow on the side of the road. Then my screen lit up on its own. No buzz, no ring, just a soft light. The screen showed my Messages app like invisible fingers had opened it. It scrolled by itself up through old conversations, past my mom, my manager, group chats, all the way to the top, to a contact that wasn't there before. It said, "Back seat. Do not reply." I swear to you, I didn't put that there. I don't have any automation apps, no shortcuts, nothing. The conversation was empty, no messages in it. Then, while I watched, a single bubble popped up. "Next time, don't wait." I threw the phone onto the passenger seat and just sat. I didn't even cry. It was like my brain tapped out and said, "Too much, I'm done." Eventually, I put the car in drive and did the rest of the trip under the speed limit, eyes locked on the road, not looking at the mirror again. I changed my route after that, stopped taking that road at night. I deleted the contact, turned my phone off every time I drove home in the dark. But here's the part that messes me up the most. About a month later, I was at work when a customer came through my line with a newspaper tucked under his arm. The front page was facing me. There was a headline about a fatal crash on that same road, around the same time I usually drove home. A long-haul truck had rear-ended a small car that had slowed down suddenly. No sign of intoxication, no slick roads, just for unknown reasons. The picture showed the side of the car that had been hit. The back seat was crushed. There was a little kid's car seat in the middle, empty. The article mentioned that the kid had survived because he'd somehow slipped out of the belt before the impact. No one understood how. The date on the paper was from the week before my late shift. So, the crash happened before I saw the kid on the side of the road. If you're thinking it was just my brain connecting random things, maybe you're right. Maybe it was all stress and coincidence. But every time I get into my car now, I do more than look in the back seat. I check my phone. And if I ever see that contact again, back seat, do not reply, I'm not sure if I'll keep driving or pull over and wait for the truck. My name's Mark, and for a few years I drove for a rideshare app. It was decent money, and I kind of liked the weirdness of it. Different people every night, different stories. Most of them just wanted to stare at their phones and pretend the driver didn't exist. This happened on a Thursday, just after midnight, in the middle of a long shift. I'd already done like 20 rides and was planning to log off after just one more. I parked in a gas station lot and hit Go Online. Within seconds, I got a ping. Pickup, unknown. No profile pic, no rating, no name. Just a gray silhouette and the address. That already bugged me, because usually you see at least a first name. But the app sometimes glitches, so I shrugged it off. The pickup spot was a small industrial area about 10 minutes away. Warehouses, some trucking companies, a couple of office buildings with big empty lots. When I pulled in, the place was dead. Not a single car moving. The only light was from a couple of those buzzing fluorescent lamps on a building and my own headlights. My app showed the rider icon about 20 feet behind me, right in the middle of the lot. There was nobody there. I checked the address again. It matched. Sometimes riders drop the pin in the wrong place, so I waited a little and scanned around, expecting to see someone walking toward me. Nothing. After a minute, my phone buzzed with an in-app text from the rider. Here. I typed back, "Which side are you on?" "I'm in the black Corolla." Almost immediately, "Behind you." I checked the rear view. Nobody. I turned in my seat and looked through the back window. Just empty parking lot and my own faint reflection in the glass. Another text came in. "Can you unlock?" Now, here's the thing. My car automatically locks when I go over a certain speed, but I had stopped. Normally, it should unlock when I put it in park, but for some reason, the little indicator still showed locked. I hit the unlock button. I heard the soft click of the locks. No doors opened. The app chimed. Passenger picked up. Start ride? I actually said out loud, "No way." The screen showed the usual swipe to start ride with the route already mapped. The destination was across town, near a residential area. I thought, okay, maybe the app is really bugging out tonight. I was tired, and that always makes you more willing to blame tech instead of thinking something actually strange is happening. I sighed, hit cancel ride, and started to pull away. Before I could hit the gas, another text came in. "You accepted. Please don't cancel again." Now I was confused. I hadn't accepted. I'd literally just canceled it. But the screen showed the ride as active again, with a timer counting up like they were already in the car. As I was staring at the phone, the car shifted slightly. You know that feeling when someone sits in the back seat, the tiny bounce, the way the suspension adjusts? I felt that. The rear of the car dipped just a little, a faint squeak from the seatbelt rubbing against the pillar. The app chimed again. Passenger in car. I didn't see anyone, didn't hear a door, but my body reacted. goosebumps. The back of my neck suddenly cold. I slowly turned my head, checking the mirror. Back seat, empty. Nothing on the seats, nothing on the floor. Just my Uber sticker on the rear window and a couple of tiny crumbs on the seat from earlier. Another text. Thank you. I should have canceled and driven home right there. Logged off, deleted the app, whatever. But I'd had pushy riders before. People who sat far back, out of view, or ducked down to mess with you. Sometimes they thought it was funny. So I forced a laugh and said, "All right, you got me. Where are we headed?" Silence. I looked at the app. The destination was already set. Some random street on the other side of town. Nothing special about it. "Starting the ride now," I said, trying to sound normal, and pulled out of the lot. The first few minutes were the most uncomfortable of my life. Not because anything big happened, but because of how nothing happened. No breathing sounds, no shifting, no fake coughs or little laughs to let me know it was a prank. Just this heavy feeling behind me, like a full suitcase was on the seat instead of a person. Every time I hit a bump, the car reacted like there was actual weight back there. I talked a bit, just to break the silence. "So, long day?" No answer. "Late night for the warehouse?" I tried. Still nothing. My phone buzzed. "Please, just drive, no talking." Okay, rude, but whatever, I've had worse. We got onto a long, dark stretch of road. I knew it pretty well. 2 lanes, trees on both sides, no houses for a while. Street lights spaced far apart, so there were pockets of darkness between them. As we drove, I started noticing something in the mirror. Whenever we passed under a streetlight, I would see my face lit up. Normal. The front seats, normal. The empty back seat, normal. But in the darkness between the lights, the shape of the back seat would change. Only for a second, and only if I didn't look dead on. In the corner of my eye, where your brain fills in gaps, it looked like the shadow on the back seat was taller, like something was sitting there, sucking up the light. And every time we went under another street light, it would vanish again. I told myself it was just the way the light was hitting the headrests. Then my phone buzzed again. Eyes on the road. I hadn't typed anything. I hadn't said I was looking at the mirror, but somehow the timing made it feel like a warning. I gripped the steering wheel tighter and forced myself not to look back. Just 2 more turns, I told myself. Drop this weirdo off and be done for the night. We hit a red light at an empty intersection, and the car rolled to a stop. And that's when I heard it. A sound from directly behind me, just above my right ear. A slow, shaky inhale, like someone who'd been holding their breath for a long time. I froze. I could feel that weird pressure of someone's face being close to the back of your head, not touching, but close enough that you know if you lean back at all, you'll feel skin. The light stayed red. The ticking of my turn signal suddenly sounded way too loud. I didn't move. I didn't speak. The breathing got a little louder, not like wheezing, just careful, like whoever it was trying not to be heard and failing. The air by my ear felt a tiny bit cooler. For some reason, that made me brave for half a second. I turned my head just enough to see the edge of the back seat in my peripheral vision. Nothing, but the breathing was still there. The light finally turned green. I drove. My heart wouldn't slow down. My foot kept coming down too hard on the gas, then backing off. I wanted this to be over. Another text. Almost there. I looked at the route. We weren't. According to the map, we were still 10 minutes away. But the app's little ride bar, the one that shows how far along the trip you are, was almost full. It was like the app thought the ride was ending sooner than the address said. We passed a small split in the road. The app rerouted instantly. Turn right in 200 feet. That wasn't the original route. It was taking us down a smaller side street now. No houses, just trees and darkness. I'm gonna stay on the main road, I said, more to myself than anyone. I drove past the turn. The app chimed. Rerouting. The bar that had been almost full slid back to halfway. My phone buzzed. I said, almost there, turn around. My grip tightened on the wheel until my fingers hurt. No, I said, out loud now. We're going to the address in the app. That's the destination you put. No response. Just that same soft, careful breathing right behind me. Still there, like a weight. We hit a stretch with no streetlights at all. Just my headlights on the road and black trees on both sides closing in. I felt like if I slowed down, something from the dark would catch up and press against the windows. Another text. You went past it. Past what? I muttered. You missed your turn. I didn't answer. I focused on the original blue line on the map, ignoring the app's attempts to reroute me down smaller, darker roads. That's when the app did something it had never done before. The screen went black. Not like it crashed, not like the phone died. The backlight was still on, just black. Then a single line of white text appeared, centered. Stop the car. My chest tightened. It felt like the air in the car got heavier again. The breathing stopped. I kept driving. The text changed. If you don't stop now, you'll regret it. I was so focused on the phone that I didn't notice the curve in the road until I was almost on top of it. The car drifted over the center line. A pair of headlights exploded into view, coming right at me. I jerked the wheel and swerved back into my lane just in time. The other car flew past, horn blaring, the driver's silhouette a brief flash of angry motion. For a second, I was certain I'd clipped them, but there was no impact. I heard a different sound instead. A soft, disappointed sigh from the back seat, like someone had just watched something almost happen and missed it. The screen on my phone flickered back to the normal map. The app's bar was full now. Arrived, it said. We weren't at the address. We were still on that same dark road. I cleared my throat. Is this where you want to get out? No answer. In the mirror, just for a second, I saw something. A darker patch of darkness moved from the middle of the seat toward the door, like someone shifting their weight. The car creaked, just a bit lighter than before. Then the right rear door lock clicked. Just the lock. The door didn't open. Nothing moved. The weight in the car vanished. Not slowly, not like someone getting out and closing the door. Just gone, like they'd never been there. The app chimed. Passenger dropped off. Then a final text. Thank you for taking the long way. Next time, don't fight it. The ride disappeared from my history. Not just that ride, all of my rides from that night. The whole shift was gone, like I'd never driven anyone. You can say glitch, bug, whatever. The company's support didn't see anything wrong on their end. They literally told me, system shows you were offline. But I remember the weight of that invisible passenger, the breathing by my ear, the text that popped up on a dead screen. And ever since that night, every time I see an unknown rider request pop up on my phone, I swipe decline. Because if that thing gets in your back seat and you do what it wants, I don't think the destination will be an address. I think it'll be a place you don't come back from. This one isn't mine. This happened to my older brother's friend, a guy named Jason, when he was in high school. At least, that's what he always claimed. The way he told it never changed, though, and it messed him up enough that he stopped driving at night completely. Jason was 17 and had just gotten his license. His parents trusted him with their old silver sedan as long as he used it responsibly and didn't do anything stupid. You can guess how that went. One Saturday night, he and his girlfriend at the time, Hannah, decided to go to this lookout spot about 20 minutes out of town. Basically, a hilltop parking area where you could see the whole city lit up below. They got there around 11 p.m., parked near the edge, and just sat there for a while. Music low, engine off, lights out. Other cars were there too, clusters of headlights in the distance, some people sitting on hoods, some just silhouettes in their cars. Normal teenage stuff. After about an hour, the other cars started leaving. One by one, taillights disappearing down the road until it was just them and one other car on the far side of the lot. Jason noticed that the other car's engine was off, but the interior light was on. He could see someone in the driver's seat, hunched forward. No one else. "They're gonna kill their battery," he joked to Hannah. She shrugged, leaned back, and rested her head on the headrest. Around midnight, even that last car turned its light off, and the hilltop went dark except for the faint glow of the town below and the stars above. Jason and Hannah decided it was time to go. Her parents had a strict curfew, and if she got home late, they'd call Jason's mom. He started the car, turned on the headlights, and checked his mirrors. The lot was almost empty. Just a couple of pieces of trash blowing around, and the faint outline of that last car across the way. As he put the car in reverse, something flickered across his rearview mirror. A shape in the back seat, just for a split second. He did what everyone does, turned around to look with his actual eyes. Nothing. Back seat empty. Just the dark shape of the headrests and the faint glow from the dash. "Thought I saw something," he mumbled. Hannah didn't seem bothered. They pulled out of the lot and started down the curving road that led back toward town. It was one of those narrow roads with no guardrails, just a steep drop on one side and trees on the other. Not a great place for distractions. About 5 minutes down the road, Jason's phone buzzed in the cup holder. He was the kind of guy who couldn't ignore a notification. He glanced down quickly. It was a text from an unknown number. 3 words. "Don't look back." He laughed. "Okay, that's weird." "What?" Hannah said. "Some random number just texted me, 'Don't look back.' Like, all right, creepy." She made a face. "Probably your brother, or someone from school." "Yeah," he said, "probably." Another text came in. "Seriously, don't look in the mirror." This time, the tiny hairs on Jason's arms lifted. His brother couldn't text from unknown numbers. None of his friends had that kind of time or effort. The road started to curve tighter. He slowed down, 45, 40, 35, trying to focus. Hannah shifted in her seat and pulled her jacket closer. "Why'd you turn the AC up?" she asked. "I didn't," he said. The air in the car had gotten noticeably colder. Not freezing, but that kind of damp cold that makes your fingertips feel weird. Jason tried to laugh it off. "It's probably just..." He checked the rearview mirror mid-sentence. And his brain just stopped. Because there was someone sitting in the middle of the back seat. A woman. She was leaning forward a little, like she was trying to get closer to the front. Her hair was long and dark, hanging in front of her face. She wore a plain dress that made it hard to see where her body ended and the shadows began. He didn't see her face at first, just the shape. His grip on the wheel tightened. The car drifted slightly toward the center line. "You okay?" Hannah asked, noticing the movement. Jason snapped his eyes back to the road. Yeah, I just..." He couldn't say, "There's someone in the back seat," because that would make it real. Saying it out loud would turn it from "weird thing my eyes did" into "actual problem we have to deal with." His phone buzzed again. "Don't talk to her," he swallowed hard. "Who are you texting?" Hannah asked. "No one," he said, voice too high. "Just spam. I'll block it later." The woman in the back didn't move. He could see her more clearly now in the mirror. Her hands rested on the edge of the front seats, not quite touching them. Her fingers looked long in the reflection. He realized he couldn't hear her breathing. He could hear Hannah breathing. He could hear his own shaky breaths. But from the back seat, nothing. Just that heavy coldness. The road curved again. He took it too slowly this time, afraid to make any sudden moves. Hannah twisted in her seat. "You're freaking me out. What are you looking at?" "Don't," he blurted. "Don't turn around." She froze. "Why?" "Just trust me. Please don't look at the back seat." As soon as he said it, he knew that was the worst possible thing to say. Telling someone not to look is basically begging them to. There was a long pause. Then, softly, Hannah said, "Jason, who's behind us?" His heart pounded so hard he felt it in his ears. "I don't know," he whispered. His phone buzzed. "Don't acknowledge her. She wants that." The woman's head tilted slightly in the mirror, just a few degrees. Not enough to be dramatic, but enough that he knew she'd heard. He couldn't see her face yet. Her hair still covered most of it. But he suddenly understood something, without knowing how. She wanted him to see her properly, like that was the next step in whatever this was. The car's interior lights flickered, just once. In that brief flash, he saw more of her. Her clothes didn't look old or modern exactly, just wrong. Like someone had tried to copy what a dress looked like from memory and gotten the details slightly off. The fabric seemed too still, like it wasn't affected by gravity the same way everything else was. Hannah squeezed her hands together in her lap. "Jason, I'm serious. If this is a joke—" "It's not," he said quickly. "Please, just keep looking forward. We're almost back to town." He had no idea if that was true. It felt like they'd been on that road forever. The cold deepened. His breath didn't fog up, but the tip of his nose stung. Hannah rubbed her arms. "Turn the heat up. What are you doing?" she said. He reached for the dial. It was already on warm. He turned it all the way to max. Nothing changed. Another text appeared. "You're doing good. Just don't crash." He hadn't noticed how close to the edge of the road he'd drifted. The right tires brushed gravel. He jerked the wheel slightly and corrected, heart rate spiking. The woman's head tilted further in the mirror. He still couldn't see her whole face, but he caught a glimpse of skin beneath the hair, too pale for someone in the dark, almost like paper in a shadow. A thought popped into his head, clear and sharp. If I see her eyes, it's over. He didn't know what over meant. Crash, heart attack, something worse. But every part of his body believed it. "Hannah," he said quietly, "can you do something for me?" "What?" Her voice shook. "Look straight ahead. Close your eyes if you want. But no matter what you feel behind you, don't turn around. Okay?" "Why? You're really scaring me," she said. "Please, just trust me." There was a long moment. Then, "Okay, but tell me when it's gone." Another text buzzed. "She won't go until someone looks." Jason's stomach turned. "Stop," he said, more to the phone than anything. For the first time, the woman moved more than just her head. In the mirror, he watched her slowly lift one hand off the seat. Her fingers uncurled, stretching, reaching toward his shoulder. His body screamed to get away, but there was nowhere to go. He was trapped between the steering wheel and the drop outside the narrow road. "Jason, is she touching me?" Hannah whispered, eyes forward. No," he stammered. She's closer to me." The hand in the reflection hovered a few inches from his shoulder, but he didn't feel anything. No pressure, no cold, just that awful awareness of almost contact. He realized something else. He could see her in the mirror, but if he looked back quickly with his real eyes, he wasn't totally sure she'd be there. This whole thing felt like it only existed in that thin slice of glass above his windshield. The phone buzzed again. She can't reach you unless you help. Jason didn't answer, didn't even look at the message for more than a second. Then a new text popped up without the old one disappearing. Ask her what she wants. His throat went dry. He knew, with the same weird certainty from before, that if he spoke to her, that would count as helping. He kept his mouth shut. More texts flooded in. They stacked on each other, a growing list on his screen. Look at her. Say her name. Ask where she's going. She just wants a ride. She was waiting at the lookout. You drove past her. You left her there alone. His heart pounded harder. The last few hit something in him. Had there been someone else at the lookout? Had there been a woman he hadn't noticed, standing near that last car with the interior light on, waiting for a ride? The car dipped slightly, like something had shifted its weight closer to the front. The hand in the mirror hovered nearer to his shoulder. The road straightened out a little. He could see distant streetlights ahead now. Town wasn't that far. Hannah had both hands pressed to her knees, knuckles white. "Is she still there?" she whispered. "Yes," he said before he could stop himself. The hand twitched. He realized how close they were to the turnoff into town. A couple more minutes and they'd be back on wider, brighter streets, other cars, people, normal life. The idea that this thing might stay in the car with him, past the empty road, into town, into his driveway, made him feel sick. The phone buzzed one more time. Last text. "If you don't look at her now, she'll wait until you're alone." He could suddenly picture it, dropping Hannah off, watching her run inside, pretending everything was fine. Driving home alone, parking in the driveway, turning off the engine. Then, sitting there in the dark with something in the back seat, waiting for him to finally give it what it wanted. His fear shifted. He stopped being afraid of looking and started being more afraid of not looking. Somewhere in his head, a line moved. "Hannah," he said, voice shaking, "close your eyes." "Why?" "Just, please." She squeezed her eyes shut. "Tell me when it's over." He took a breath, then another. And then, slowly, he raised his eyes fully to the rearview mirror and looked straight at the woman's face. For a second, nothing made sense. Her features didn't line up right. It wasn't like a classic ghost face or anything. It was worse because nothing about it was dramatic. No blood, no wounds, just wrong proportions. Her eyes were a little too far apart. Her mouth was just slightly too wide. Her nose didn't quite sit where it should on her face, like it had been placed there by someone guessing from memory. But the worst part wasn't the shape. It was her expression. She looked disappointed. Not angry, not vengeful, just really deeply disappointed. Like a parent whose kid had forgotten something important. The instant their eyes met in the mirror, the temperature in the car dropped hard. His breath did fog this time. Hannah gasped, eyes still squeezed shut. The woman's mouth moved. Jason couldn't hear the words, but he saw them form. A simple phrase, repeated twice. Then the mirror cracked. Not a big dramatic shatter, just a thin line running diagonally across the glass like a tiny fracture. The woman's reflection broke with it. In one half of the mirror, her eyes looked at him. In the other half, her mouth finished the words. Too late. Then she was gone. No slow fade, no lingering shadow. 1 second she was there, staring at him with those misaligned eyes. The next, the back seat in the mirror was empty, just the headrests and the darkness. The temperature slowly climbed back up. The air felt normal again. Hannah opened her eyes. "Is she gone?" she whispered. Jason checked the back seat with his actual eyes this time. Nothing. He checked the mirror again. Nothing but that thin crack. "Yeah," he said, voice hollow. "She's gone." They drove the rest of the way home in silence. When he dropped Hannah off, she hugged him a little too tight and said, "Let's not go up there at night again, okay?" "Yeah," he said. "Okay." He went home, parked, and sat in the driveway for a long time, staring at the back seat in the mirror. Nothing moved. He finally turned off the car and went inside. Jason told that story a lot over the years. He never added anything, never changed the details. Every time, it ended the same way. But there's one part he left out the first few times he told it. The part about what she'd mouth in the mirror. He eventually admitted it, late one night, after a couple of beers, when my brother pushed him on it. He said the first time she moved her mouth, he couldn't tell what she was saying. The second time, forward and backward in the crack of the mirror, it was clearer. 2 words. "Again, please." Like they'd done this before. Like she'd been through that ride more than once. Here's what messes with me about his story. A few months after that night, Jason's parents sold the old sedan to a family across town. He was relieved, honestly. He never wanted to sit in that driver's seat again. One afternoon, he was walking past a grocery store lot when he saw the car again, parked under a light. Same crack in the rearview mirror, same dent on the passenger door. There was a woman in the driver's seat, probably in her 30s. She was staring into the mirror, expression frozen. In the back seat, a little girl sat in the middle, swinging her legs, bored. She turned her head toward the mirror, then looked over at Jason as he passed. For just a second, he saw a weird flicker in the glass, like another face behind the little girl's, layered on top of it. Features slightly wrong, eyes too far apart, mouth a little too wide. Then the car's interior light flicked off, and all he could see was his own reflection in the glass. He never went near that hilltop again, and to this day, he refuses to be in any car with any mirror on a dark road, unless there's someone sitting in the back seat that he can absolutely 100% see. Because the only thing worse than a stranger in the back of your car is thinking the back seat is empty when it's not.